Hello, everyone. Welcome to Court with Krissy. If you ever find yourself in trouble, just repeat after me. Those weren't my pants. And if pants weren't the problem, just say it wasn't me. I hope you like it. Court with Krissy is now in session.
Okay, I just have to quick get your case. All right, this is a very old case. Miss Maxwell has paid $500 for two worthless checks, and I don't know what the I don't know off the top of my head, because this is an old case, what any restitution would be.
What we were seeking for this is a county ordinance where the restitution would be $179.66, and the county ordinance back then was $249.00. We looked up what it was.
All right, thank you, Mr. Schmidt. I appreciate you doing that. 179.66 plus 249. All right, we will go on the record in the matter 06CM447, State of Wisconsin versus Greta Maxwell. Ms. Maxwell appears by video conferencing with approval of the court. The state appears through Assistant District Attorney Kevin Schmidt. We're set here today in this matter for a status conference. This is a very old case. A warrant was issued a long time ago. Ms. Maxwell has paid the warrant amount. The state is now asking, I believe, to amend to an ordinance violation and to take restitution out of the prepaid warrant amount and the ordinance amount as well. Is that correct, Mr. Schmidt?
Yes, so long as she's willing to accept that.
Do you accept that offer, Ms. Maxwell?
No, that wasn't even me. I want to check. That wasn't even me. I don't know who used my ID or what. Do they have any pictures or something to see if that was me or anything, proof or something? Because I never been in Wisconsin. That wasn't me. So my name probably been used or something. So I want to know, how can they go by getting pictures to prove it was me, or can I see the pictures or what they got or anything?
Well, we can set it for a jury trial or a court trial if you wish. Do you want to have a court trial in front of the court, Ms. Maxwell?
I'm not amending it if she's
No,
not accepting.
that's fine. You don't have to amend it. It can be a full court trial with the two crimes, and that's fine. You want to have a court trial in front of myself and not a jury, Ms. Maxwell?
Yeah, I can do a phone court.
Okay, and that's fine. And so you want to have some opportunity to talk to the district attorney's office and come here and have them
I have
show
to
you
come
some.
up. I have to come there. I can't do it over the phone.
No, it would have to be an in-person thing, because you would have to look at what evidence they have, and you would have to argue to the court, and it would have to be an in-person. Otherwise, what they're willing to do right now, Miss Maxwell, to have it all go away, is they're saying that they would amend it to a non-crime and have it be just like a ticket and have it, all of it washed away with, I mean, you posted the bail for this warrant from that some time ago, and then it would go away and you would actually get money refunded.
I understand what they're saying, but I paid $500 for a crime that I didn't even do. And then I got to pay restitution fees and all these other fines for something I didn't do that wasn't me. So
and Miss Maxwell, if you're arguing that, and I understand, and this is a really old case, I understand and I hear you, because this is a 2006 case, and quite honestly, I want to see both you as well as the victims here both be satisfied. I'd be satisfied if just the restitution were paid, and I'd waive everything else and I'd give you back all the rest of the money if you're willing to have the matter just get resolved.
no, okay, this is a quick call.
But I do need you to stop walking, because we are in court and we are in a hearing here today. So I do need you to actually stop walking.
I want to take, I don't want to pay. I'm not paying restitution or other fees for something that wasn't me, because then that way I'm paying for somebody else's crime. And it would not be a crime, and you wouldn't have any kind of like
mark against your record or anything like that. And that's why I'm saying I understand where you're coming from, especially because this is a very old matter. And that's why I would be willing to just have it all go away for that $179.66. And I'd be willing to get rid of everything else and have all the other money go back to you.
So they want me to pay, I have to pay 176 for a crime that somebody else has did and only get the rest of my money back. Nah, I'm not paying for nobody else's crime.
Well, that's fine. I'm willing to have a court trial, and
Okay.
you're indicating you're waiving the jury trial and you want to have a court trial. That's fine with me. And we can go ahead and get that matter set. How soon do you want to get this set, Mr. Schmidt? How
I
long
need
would
to
you
make
need?
sure we can find the witnesses for this, so I need it at least like a month or two out. Otherwise, is she gonna get an attorney?
I'm cool with that.
Are you gonna hire an attorney or are you gonna represent
No.
yourself, Ms.
I'm
Maxwell?
not hiring no, I can get a public defender. I can get a public defender or something because I'm not finna plead guilty to something that I know it wasn't me. It's something I didn't do, and I'm not finna pay for somebody else's crime. So I can get a public defender or something.
Well, and yep, you would be able to, you could either represent yourself, and that's
Okay.
fine too, especially if you know you didn't do it and you want to
Yep.
look at the evidence and show that, or you can apply for a public defender, or you can retain your own private attorney, and that would be all fine too.
Okay.
What I could do is if you want to have a hearing or have like a trial with the court, Mr. Schmidt, I can do, I don't believe it. If this would be a court trial, I could schedule it for a half day on December 2nd in the morning.
Okay.
But that would be an in-person though, Ms. Maxwell, and you would have the ability to argue to me, to show me all of the evidence and all of those things. And you would have the right to come here and meet with the district attorney's office and look at the evidence that they have, okay?
Okay. All right. I'll be there on the 2nd then.
Yeah, so I would strongly encourage that you call the district attorney's office and you talk to Mr. Schmidt and you talk about this case to him, okay?
Okay, let me get his number. Hold on.
All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
His name is Kevin Schmidt and the
Okay.
telephone number is, okay?
Okay. And you said December 2nd?
Well, yeah, December 2nd. I'm going to get your information so that we can send you a notice so you know when that is, because the trial would be, or the hearing would be December 2nd at 9. But you need to call him like next week or this week and talk to him, and you're going to need to write him a letter so you can formally ask for all of the discovery. That would be the information that they have showing this case. Because right now I can tell you that back in 2006, a summons and complaint were issued in this matter, okay? And you did have a public defender at that time, Gerald Wright, at that time. And there was a status conference held at that time. And that's where you actually missed your court date. And it alleges, I'll read you the criminal complaint. It says right here that on or around November 5th, 2005 in Burnett County, Wisconsin, that you issued a check of not more than $2,500, check number 1128. So you can check on this yourself too. So I don't know if you want to write this down so you have it. Check number 1128 in defendant's checking account number at TCF Bank. And this was from 2005, check number 11228 at TCF Bank, payable to the Hole in the Wall Casino. all right? The Hole in the Wall Casino in the amount of $59.70 dated November 5th, 2005, and it was signed by Greta Maxwell, all right?
Okay.
And it
I'll
says that it
definitely
had
be
the
there.
intent, it had the intent that the check not be paid. So if that's the case, it's a Class A misdemeanor, which upon conviction, you could be fined not more than $10,000 or imprisoned not more than 9 months or both. And that's for the first check. There's also a second check that they're alleging the same date, that November 5th, 2005 in Burnett County, Wisconsin, another check of not more than $2,500. And that would be check number 1129. And that was drawn under your checking account at the TCF Bank, payable to Wayne's Foods. And that's a grocery store, Wayne's Foods, in the amount of $104.96. And that was dated 11/5, November 5th of 2005. And it again was signed by Greta Maxwell with the intent that it not be paid. And this would be a crime. And that would be, if convicted, a fine of up to $10,000 or imprisonment up to 9 months in the county jail or both. Okay. So right now they're charged as a crime, and they have the copies of the checks, those 2 checks, which are signed by Greta Maxwell. All right. And so right now I have an address for you of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
No.
Can I get an updated address, please?
Minneapolis, Minnesota, 55412.
55412. And I have a telephone number of,
Yeah.
may we send you text message notifications of upcoming hearing dates?
That'll be good.
All right. So what we'll do is we'll send you out a written notice, so you have that, and we'll also send you text messages to remind you, okay?
Okay.
Again,
definitely
we're going
do
to
that.
we're going to make sure that not guilty pleas have been entered on your behalf. You have the district attorney's office's number. Call Mr. Schmidt, talk to him. You're going to need to write a written request to him, though, asking for all of the discovery, so you can get that, so you can look at that and talk to him, okay? And then you'll come back to this court in person on December 2nd, and you'll be able to argue and talk to me, okay?
Yeah. Okay. I have one question. So when the paperwork come back and the picture come back and it wasn't me, so what do they do then?
Well, they may not have a picture, they may not have video, I don't know, but they for sure will have a copy of the checks. So that's all I know.
Okay.
So you're gonna have to talk to Mr. Schmidt. All right?
All right. I'll do that. 'Cause they
All
gotta
right,
have something, they gotta have some kind of evidence.
I will see you on December 2nd, okay?
I'll be there. Definitely will be there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
We're adjourned.
Yeah.
All right.
We have Mr. King here on behalf of the state of Ohio. We're scheduled for a trial of the court on this allegation of driving while under non-compliance suspension, as well as improper display of license plates. Mr. King, is the state ready to proceed?
We are.
And Ms. Kinzer-Smith, are you ready to have your trial today?
I'm really not prepared, but I mean, I want to get it over with, so.
Okay. You do have the right to be represented by an attorney, but you're not eligible to ask the court to provide you with one at no cost because you're not facing any potential jail term as a consequence of conviction. So is it your intention to represent yourself and waive your right to counsel?
Yes, sir, but I do have a question.
Go right ahead.
Am I, technically, I believe I'm on an OR bond, right?
Yes, you are.
Okay, if it's not a jailable offense or there's no jail time, why am I on an OR bond?
Well, we have to set a bond.
You do?
Theoretically, if I wanted to, I could set a cash or surety bond even on a non-jailable offense. I typically won't do that unless there's extenuating circumstances. But
I just wanna make
anytime
sure I
somebody
understand.
files or enters a plea of not guilty, we have to set some sort of a bond.
Okay.
And this recognizes the fact that you're not subject to jail sanction.
Okay.
But are you ready to begin?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. King,
Thank
please
you.
call your first witness.
Officer Fisher.
Officer, please come forward and be sworn.
Do you solemnly swear or do you affirm that the testimony you give is the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Is that so, sir? For the record, give your name and spell your last name
Nicholas Fischio, Fischio,
and the address of your precinct.
39 South 4th Street, Newark, Ohio.
You may inquire.
Thank you. Sir, you're employed by the Newark Police Department?
I am.
Were you so employed back on June 28th, 2024?
I was.
Recall what shift you were working?
Third shift from 10 p.m. to 8 in the morning.
Your duties include the enforcement of the traffic laws within the city of Newark.
They do.
And were you dressed in the uniform of the day, similar to what you're wearing now?
Yes, sir.
And were you operating a plainly marked Newark police cruiser with all required markings, lights, including the working overhead light bar?
Yes, sir.
The cruiser you were operating, was it equipped with any video recording device?
It was a dash cam.
And where is that dash cam located as far as the camera?
In the top right of my front windshield.
Okay, to the right of the rearview mirror?
Correct.
And are you able to edit that, splice it, do anything with it?
No.
And at about 12:48 a.m., do you recall where you were at and what you were doing?
Yes, I was driving on Garfield Avenue.
Is that in the city of Newark, Licking County, state of Ohio?
That is, sir.
And at about 12:48 a.m., did you see anything that drew your attention to it?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I saw a black Honda Pilot come at me in oncoming traffic. As it passed me, I looked in my side mirror and could tell that there was no license plate being illuminated. As I turned around, I flipped on it and was able to catch up to the vehicle. I could see in my headlights clearly that there's no license plate. I follow it into the Quail Creek Drive apartments. It stops in front of apartment 285. Once behind it, I activate my overhead lights, and I'm able to confirm again that there's no temporary tag visible and there was never any real license plate visible where it should be.
What was there where it should have been?
There's a decorative plate that just says Newark, and it's painted over in black.
Okay. And that was the basis for you turning around and following this vehicle?
Yes, sir.
And did you come into contact with an individual associated with that vehicle by the name of Mandy, or later known to you as Mandy Kinzer Smith?
Yes, sir.
Is she in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir, the defendant.
Okay. Seated at the next table?
Yes, sir.
So when you pulled up beside or behind the vehicle, you activated your takedown lights?
I did.
And what happened then?
Ms. Smith exited the right side of the vehicle.
The passenger side?
The passenger side of the vehicle.
Okay.
And began walking back towards my cruiser. And I told her to stay where she was until I was able to approach the vehicle and tell dispatch where I was.
Okay. And then did you have a conversation with her about the driver?
I did. I approached the driver's side of the vehicle, and there was nobody there. She was still on the passenger side of the vehicle going through one of her bags. And I asked her where the driver was, and she explained to me in short that she did not know where they were and did not know who they were.
Did you also have the opportunity to run her driving record?
I did.
And what did you find when you ran that?
I found that her driving privileges were suspended for noncompliance.
If I may approach.
You may.
See it? Do you want to see it?
I'm sorry, what is this?
It's a certified copy of your driving record.
Oh, no, I'm aware of it. Thank you, though.
Okay.
Thank you.
Officer, anyone marked for identification purposes as Plaintiff's Exhibit 2. When you stop someone on a traffic case, it's customary to get their name, their date of birth, social security number.
Yes, sir.
Does that appear to be a certified copy of the driving record from the BMV?
It does.
And if you'd flip over for 2 pages, who does that relate to?
The defendant, Ms. Kinzer Smith.
Okay. And under suspensions, the first line, what suspension is listed there?
A noncompliance suspension.
Well, I'm going to play the video now. Is your camera on?
The monitor right here.
The monitor?
Yes, it is.
Okay. What are we looking at right here in the still?
This looks to be me going down Garfield Avenue.
Okay. And for the record, I've marked this as Plaintiff's Exhibit 1.
Thank you.
Vehicle approaching this, is this a vehicle in question?
I believe so, yes.
Now the camera's fixed. Are you able to turn your head and figure out where the vehicle went?
Absolutely, yes.
And that's why you made that left-hand turn?
Correct.
Can you see down that roadway?
Yes.
Did you see anybody?
No.
Nobody running away, nobody exiting the vehicle?
No.
Driver's side door open or closed?
Driver's side door was closed.
Is that the vehicle?
That is.
She didn't know who was driving that vehicle.
Correct.
At least that's what she said.
Yes, sir.
Verify there's no one else in the vehicle? As you were approaching and turning on your overhead or your takedown lights, do you notice anything about the car?
Aside from the fact that it had no plate?
Other than it didn't have any plates, was there any movement or anything?
No, it appeared as though the vehicle, when I first saw it, as I was turning on, it appeared to rock a little bit. It could have been somebody crawling across the center console, is what I had assumed.
Okay. And she was the only one in that area?
The only person in the area, sir.
Is the portion of the video that we saw true and accurate portrayal of what was captured on your video camera?
It is.
I have nothing further on
All right, so Ms. Kinzer-Smith, you have a right to ask the officer questions if you like, but after the state has rested its case, you'll have the opportunity to give your side of the story if you wish. This part is just for questions, though. Do you have any questions for Officer Fiskio?
Are we allowed to see the part where he's talking about the vehicle rocking again, or no?
Sure, we can go ahead
Can
and
we look at
rewind
it?
it.
I just
I
want to
don't
see
know
where
that
he's
it's on the
talking about.
video when he's talking about
Oh,
turning.
so you're just saying you saw that, but it's not on the video?
I saw it as I was pulling onto the
Oh,
the
yeah,
road.
okay, because I didn't see
into
that,
your
so,
parking
all
lot
right.
area.
Okay, sorry, just give me a second here. Okay, well, when you first, sat down and he asked you a question, you said that I came towards your vehicle, like, when you pulled up behind me, and then after that, you said that I was at the, side of the vehicle going through my bag, but I see now that you probably meant like one and then the other, but I was just wondering about that part. And, I don't know, I just have a hard time believing that he could see that plate. So, you weren't patrolling for anybody in particular when you were in, like, the area and you pulled me over?
I think at the time I was on a dispatched call, but no, I was not looking for a specific vehicle that I'm aware of.
Okay. And then, so you didn't see me in the driver's seat at all, right? Or you
As
didn't
you
see
were-
me
Can you clarify when?
at all?
No, I never did see you in the driver's seat.
Okay. And the other officer that was there, you were gonna send him to look for somebody, right? On foot, you said maybe like go find the driver, you were about to send him actually to go search for somebody, because you almost kind of took off yourself, and then you were gonna send the other officer to, look for the other driver, right?
I don't recall if I did or not.
Or for the driver, sorry, I didn't mean to say other driver, but, okay, well, you were, and then, what else did I want to ask? So you noticed that plate, this like that, and there is a light where my plate is, by the way, there is a light. And, so you saw that plate and you noticed that going at that speed and everything, right, through your rearview mirror. I wasn't speeding, I had my seatbelt on.
Hold on, you got to let him answer your questions
I'm
as you
sorry.
ask them, okay?
I wasn't done with the question, I'm sorry. Did you notice if I had my seatbelt on or not? Or the driver had a seatbelt on, passenger had a seatbelt on?
No, I couldn't.
Okay.
I didn't see inside the car.
Was the vehicle speeding,
Not to my knowledge, no.
driving erratically or anything like that?
No.
Okay. So you saw the license plate through the rearview mirror and you saw that there was whatever, but you didn't know for sure how many people were in the front of that car?
No, I did not know for sure.
So how, I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this, how or why would you give me a driving under suspension ticket or a citation for that if you don't even know for sure how many people were in the front and you never saw me driving?
For me, it was reasonable to assume that you were driving, given the circumstances that I could never see anybody else leave the vehicle, and that you had told me you didn't know who the driver was or where they were.
Yeah, well, I said it's not where I come from and all that, we don't tell, but, yeah, I didn't say that there was somebody else, I didn't.
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay,
Yeah, you'll have the opportunity to testify
Okay.
if you like. Any other questions?
I don't know, if I think of another one, can I ask it later or no? Is this it?
Well, it depends on whether or not Mr.
Okay.
King engages in redirect examination. If he does, you'll have an opportunity to address anything that he raises in that portion of his examination of the witness.
And the other officer that was there, is there a reason why he's not here today?
I don't believe he was subpoenaed.
Okay. And, I know that I told you guys to go ahead and go through everything, or you're welcome to look through everything, go through the vehicle and all that stuff, right? You remember that, and it was fine?
I remember conducting a search. I don't remember if it was
I told you to
based
go
on your
ahead.
consent.
Yeah, okay, I guess that's all, thank you.
Redirect?
Is it legal to drive with no rear license plate?
It is not.
Whose residence is that vehicle in front of?
The defendant's.
You got in your mind she was the driver of that car?
0.
Nothing further.
Do you have any questions based on his questions? You have to limit it to what he brought up. And the court's gonna have a question of its own here in a minute.
Okay, so you have zero doubt that I'm the person that was driving the car, that's what you're saying?
Correct.
Zero doubt. But you never saw me drive, you never saw me driving it, never saw me in the driver's seat, none of that, right?
Those are correct also.
Okay, so you're just assuming and just taking a guess, right?
I think it's a very reasonable assumption, but
Okay, but it's
yes.
still an assumption, right? So you didn't see it?
That's
See
fair,
me or
yes.
whatever, right? Okay, thank you.
The court's question was going to be, did you run the registration on that vehicle?
I did.
And who did it come back to?
A Judy Huskin from Hancock Street.
Okay, so not the same address.
Correct.
Mr. King, any follow-up?
No, Your Honor.
Any follow-up based on my question, Ms. Kinzer-Smith?
Do you want me to tell you who that is?
No, you're not
Okay.
testifying right now, but you have the right to ask questions based upon my question about, just about the registration.
No, I don't
Okay,
think so, thank
Officer
you.
Fiskio, you may step down. Thank you very much. Any additional witnesses on behalf of the state?
No, Your Honor, we would offer into evidence plaintiff's exhibit 1, the portion I played, as well as 2.
All right. So, Ms. Kinzer-Smith, the state is asking me to admit the video recording and the certified copy of your BMV records into the record. If I grant that request, that means I can consider that evidence in determining whether or not the state has met its burden of proof. Do you have an objection to either of those things coming into evidence?
I think that the one thing I would like to say is that the citation is for an FRA suspension, and I have submitted proof of insurance because it was for a ticket in April, and I submitted proof of insurance for that, so I don't see how it would be an FRA suspension. I have 2 that I'm dealing with, but I did submit, I didn't have it at the time when I got my ticket in April. My dad had just died and stuff, and just was at his funeral like the day before, but I did have insurance.
Okay.
So,
Hearing no objection, the court will go ahead and grant the state's motion to admit 1 and 2. Does the state rest?
We do.
All right, so Ms. Kinzer-Smith, as I mentioned, you have the right to present a defense by calling other witnesses, by introducing evidence or exhibits into the record upon proper authentication, I should say. You have the right to testify on your own behalf. If you do elect to do that, you are required to either swear or affirm to tell the truth, and you have to answer any questions that the prosecutor might have for you after you're finished testifying for yourself. However, you're not required to present any defense because as you sit there, I presume you're not guilty of these offenses. It's still the state's burden to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. If you don't take the stand, that doesn't diminish your presumption, nor does it lower their burden of proof. So other than yourself, do you have anybody you'd like to call to the stand?
I do not.
And do you wish to testify on your own behalf?
No, I don't. I think I'm good.
Very well. Mr. King, do you wish to make any argument before the court renders a verdict?
Very briefly, Your Honor, I mean, it's a bench trial, but circumstantial evidence carries the same weight as direct evidence. They gave the defendant the benefit of the doubt and searched. There was no other driver. As the officer testified, as he rounded that bend, his head swivels, but the camera remains fixed. He can see all the way down that vehicle. There is absolutely nothing, no individuals running, walking, hiding, or anything else. They looked. Just because she slides out the passenger door does not negate the fact that she was the driver. Didn't know who the driver was, wasn't going to tell the officer, and even as the officer had testified, as he rounded that, he saw movement which would be consistent with someone sliding across the seat. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now, Ms. Kinzer-Smith, you have a right to, let me see something here. You have a right to make what's called a closing argument. You can bring up anything that wasn't testified to by the officer or that is not contained in the 2 exhibits, because that would be arguing facts not in evidence. And you don't have to make an argument, but it's your one opportunity to argue why you believe the state has failed to meet its burden. So is there anything that you'd like to say?
I think I'd just like to say that where the prosecutor is saying, like, nobody ran, you can't see anybody, there's no way. There's a lot of cars parked right there, and I live there, so I know that there's a little sidewalk right here, and there's one right over, and absolutely I know that I could jump out of that thing and be taken off, and and not be seen if I wanted to be, or wanted to not be seen. It is possible for that. It's a possibility. I'm trying to think of the word that you can use for something, an assumption, but that's not the right word though. So, sorry. And then even though he's saying that there's zero chance that it wasn't me driving that vehicle or whatever, I know that at the time he definitely was looking. He was, driving. He was trying to. He thought that there might be another person that was in that vehicle, and he was going to send the other officer that was there to look for him. Like, he was convinced that there. So I'm feeling like if he saw, if he's thinking that I slid over the console or whatever he's saying and made the vehicle do that, which none of that was seen. I didn't see any of that. But if he's so sure about that, then why would he be looking for another person in the car? And I just also like to point out again that I feel like he saw that license plate, but he wasn't even sure how many people were in the front of the car, like seatbelt, speed limit. None of that was even concerned. This license plate, though, it was a big deal. I don't know, I don't get that. And then for the vehicle to be towed on from private property with nobody in the driver's seat, car turned off, no keys in the drive, and I still don't have my car. I've lost a job and everything. I really have, since then, and been trying to get my license back since then, and have had a hard time with it. I really went through it trying to get this license together, and I'm almost there, though.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Kinzer-Smith.
Yeah,
Mr.
I'm
King?
good.
As the court's well aware, all things are open to some possible or imaginary doubt. This officer gave her every benefit of the doubt, and the only reasonable conclusion is, in fact, that she was the driver. Thank you.
All right. Well, if this were a jury trial, I would be reading the following to the jurors about what evidence is. Evidence is all the testimony received from the witnesses and the exhibits, if any, that were introduced during the trial. Evidence may be direct, circumstantial, or both. Direct evidence is the testimony given by a witness who has seen or heard the facts to which he or she testifies. This includes any exhibits admitted into evidence during the trial. Circumstantial evidence is the proof of facts or circumstances by direct evidence from which you may reasonably infer other related or connected facts which naturally and logically follow according to the common experience of humankind. To infer or to make an inference is to reach a reasonable conclusion or deduction of fact which you may, but are not required to make, from other facts which you find have been established by direct evidence, and whether or not an inference is made rests entirely with the finder of fact. And direct and circumstantial evidence are of equal weight. So, the defendant is absolutely correct that the witness could not offer direct evidence of actually observing her behind the wheel. The old law school example of circumstantial evidence is we have no windows in this courtroom. And if that door opened to the outside and Mr. King stepped outside and when he came back in he was drenched and wet 5 minutes later, I would assume that it was raining outside. Now, it's possible he could have gone and jumped in the shower with all his clothes on, or maybe there was a kiddie pool out there. But the more reasonable conclusion is to believe that it was raining. In this particular scenario, we have the officer in very close pursuit behind the defendant, able to witness the vehicle as it comes to a stop. He testified that he never saw the driver's door open, that he never saw anybody else get out of that vehicle. And I think it's telling that the defendant was unable to identify by name the person who was driving her to her house, and the fact that that vehicle came to a rest right in front of her residence. The court does find that it's reasonable to make inferences from that direct evidence. And so, although I don't believe the state has proved it beyond all possible doubt, as Mr. King correctly pointed out, they're not required to. So I'm going to find that they did prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, and I will enter guilty findings. After I determine decide what your sentence should be, I'm going to explain to you how you can appeal both my verdict and my sentence. Now, we're not going to relitigate whether or not you're guilty because I know you disagree with my decision there. But do you want to say anything about the sentence?
I don't know. I guess just that I haven't. I mean, there's a lot I'd like to say, but I'm not going to. I just feel like I've not had my vehicle this long. You know what I mean? And I have done a lot. All I have to do is the online remedial driving course, and then take my test, and I can have my license. But at this point, from the ticket in April, I got another $300 and some put on for fines and stuff, and I tried to set up a payment plan, but they wouldn't do that, and so now there's like, I think another suspension in place because of the fines from April, and I tried to do a payment plan and they wouldn't do it. But I also qualified on the indigency waiver
So
thing.
you're going to participate in the amnesty program with the
Yeah,
BMV
but they
as far as
haven't waived
reinstatement
it.
fees?
Yeah, I did that, and I qualified for like a complete waiver,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not like honoring it because the court or the clerk's office here, it shows on the docket like that I showed proof of insurance, but they said because it was after my court date in April that they couldn't show it, so they're holding me under this suspension and not giving me the amnesty waiver or whatever because the court here or the clerk's office is not honoring the proof of insurance. So I don't know, like, and it's just, I don't know, my hands were tied like right there at the end. I paid $2,000 like cash money on my fines and everything. It's been a few years ago, but I did pay like $2,000 and then the rest of it just like $500 for it all to be waived, and they're not doing it, so that's holding me up with another suspension. And I have lost, like I said, I lost a job, and I haven't been able to work a whole lot. I live by myself. I'm single. My children are grown and thriving and doing beautifully. But it's hard to get transportation to work and stuff. I'm a college student. I'm working on that, but I don't know really what I'm trying to say. But you had, and then the last time I was before, you gave me a paper for my vehicle to be released. And I spoke with the lady down there, and she was really nice and always super helpful and calls back quick. But she said that I could get the vehicle back and wouldn't have to pay for it if you just would give something more specific saying that I didn't have to. So it is possible. I don't know if you remember I asked you about that, but I know that I've really tried, and I'm not going to be able to afford to get my car. I worked 3 jobs to get that car.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kinzer-Smith. Mr. King, anything from the state on this one?
No, thank you.
All right. I don't have a specific recollection of our exchange regarding that. One thing that was occurring to me after I asked the officer the question, I don't believe they'll release it to you if it's not registered in your name. So that's an issue.
I have the title.
You do have the title
Yeah,
now?
it was in my aunt's name because I couldn't register tags
Okay.
because of the suspension or whatever.
And as far as whether or not I have the authority to waive impound fees and cost, I do not. So that the person who told you that I did either was just trying to make everything not be, confrontational, or they're just mistaken, but I do not have that authority.
Okay.
I will certainly sign off again on the release for the vehicle to be released, but again, you'll have to redeem it in that regard. The court's going to go ahead and impose a fine of $200 in court costs on the driver's license charge, $25 fine on the license plate charge. I'm not going to impose any type of a license suspension as a consequence of the conviction, and we will give you time to pay. As far as the clerk's office is concerned, if you got a ticket in April and then you showed them proof of insurance, but the insurance wasn't valid until after that date, that's why they wouldn't do it. I don't know what it is, and I don't want to get into it because it's too complicated. But and I don't have enough information to have an intelligent conversation about it. But there's 100 different things that it could be, and I don't know what that is. I would just respectfully suggest that you continue to work with the BMV. Now, as far as your rights to appeal, you do have the right to appeal my verdict, finding you guilty. You have the right to appeal the sentence that I've imposed here today. You have a right to file a notice of appeal on your own behalf within 30 days of today's date with the Licking County Court of Appeals. You have the right to pay for a transcript of our trial today, which is necessary to pursue an appeal. And you have the right to retain an attorney to assist you in appealing your conviction and sentence. But because there's no potential jail term associated with these charges, you're not eligible for court-appointed counsel or to get the transcript for free.
I
So
understand.
if you decide you want to take it up, and by all means, you're more than welcome to do so, I would at the very least consult with an attorney because it's a much more complicated process. So, that being said, do you have any other questions today?
No, but no. It's gonna get suspended for 2 more years now anyway. Actually, my license will.
On what basis?
If you get 3 or something like that in a certain period of time, and I have a prior one to this, like 20 days before I got pulled over.
Well, I
the
think
same
that'd be a
day,
12 point,
so.
actually. So, Mr. King, anything further?
I don't know.
No, Your Honor.
All right,
Thank
well,
you, have a good day.
good luck.
Okay.
Court stands in recess.